Okay, we're doing a tutorial for making 12 cards with paper, and we're going to use today this particular one, and it's really, really pretty. It has like a vintage feel. Let me just put it up a little bit so you can see a little more. My messy desk. Okay, so we have, it has 5 vases here, and I thought it was really cute because we can make 12 different cards, and each one will look different, which is something I like. It adds a little bit more interest. So they're all going to be the same, like the same collection, like when a designer make a collection and they want everything to go together. So of course, they're going to look the same. So we're going to do pocket cards, and I like the idea of pocket cards because it adds an additional little twist to the story here. We can stick something there, and I thought it was really fun. Okay, so what do we have here? So it's one sheet of paper. You can also get embellishments if you want for it, but the tools that I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using a blade or scissors because we want to fussy cut around some of the elements. So, I always use this particular size blade, and you want to get a good sharp knife. So you want the blade to be rather new so that it will cut easy. You need the paper trimmer or scissors or, ruler and blade, whatever you use to cut paper with. And it needs white sheet of white cardstock. And not just one, I cut 12 sheets because we're going to do 12 cards. But you can also use just 6 of them because we're going to do a pocket card, so we don't really need to fold it. But if you like folding it, then you're going to need 12. So we just need 6 sheets of paper, and we're going to cut it first to 6 1/4 here. This is 8.5 by 11. So on the 11-inch side, you cut at 6 1/4, and then you cut 3 inches here, 3 inches here, and this is the rest. So the rest I think is 2.5. Okay. Okay. And then, so let's put these aside. Now that I've shown you how I cut them. You're also going to need solid color cardstock, and you need 3. So with 3, you're going to get more than you need actually. So you can probably get away with 2. I did 3 because I picked out 3 colors, but I think you can get away with 2. So let's see how we cut them. So this is 12 by 12, solid color. So we have, where's the rest of the, I don't know why I picked the red one. Okay, so first what you want to do is take and cut them at 6 inches by 4 inches. Here we go. I want to show you how I did it. It's a little tricky. Sorry. So first you cut them to 6 by 4. So when you cut them to 6 by 4, you're going to get 6 pieces that are 6 by 4. And then you can take a few out because you're really not going to need all of them if you're using 3 colors. If you do use only 2 sheets, then you're going to do it to all of them. But then you take them, each one of the 6, you take another 1 inch by 4 and you cut this out. Okay. So you're going to cut your 6 by 4s again. You're going to take 2 strips out that are 1 inch. So that's what you're going to have. You're going to have this and this. There we go. This. Blah, blah. So for each card will use 1 square that is 4 by 4 and 2 strips that are 4 by 1 for each card. Okay, so that is done. So you need, like I said, a minimum of 2 colors, and I used 3. So these are the colors that I picked. I picked the brown, this beautiful magenta pink, and green. All right. Then you can use the sentiments that I gave you. If you want to use sentiments, you can print it out on a heavy cardstock, and this is 110 white cardstock, the same cardstock that I used for the base of the cards, so that the shade of white will be the same. And it's just a sheet of sentiments that you can pick and choose whatever you want. Okay? If you want to change the sentiment in there, just go ahead and take the file, add your own, and print it. Okay, you can use any sentiments you want. You don't have to use these. You want to use ink. I'm going to be using Rich Raspberry by Stampin' Up, but any fuchsia, sort of dark pink or purpley or green, whatever color that matches will match your paper, you can use. This is a little more purpley than the pink that I have here, but I wanted something a little darker. So I might use a combination of this with espresso brown. Okay, and I think that's it. Of course, you're going to need some glue, and I have my glue tape here, and I have my regular art glitter glue. And if you're wondering why I'm not using Barely Art glue, or Barely glue, whatever the name of it, it's because I don't like it. I think it's just a big hype over nothing. It's more like Elmer's glue than it is art glitter. And I like art glitter because it dries nice and clear, fast, and it doesn't go anywhere. I don't need to change something that works with something that doesn't just because everybody's talking about it. I tried it. I don't like it. Okay, so that's it for that. Let's get this closer, and we will start with cutting the paper. Okay, so looking at this particular sheet, oh, it's crooked. I don't know why it's crooked. Let's bring it up. All right, I have the tape here and the paper here. Okay. So looking at this sheet of paper, I have some strips here that I want to use. So I'll be using these. You turn it over on the other side, because over here I have 3 strips, and on the other side I have a couple more that I can use. And I'm going to be cutting out those vases, but not all the flowers. I will show you how I do it because I don't want to overwhelm the card. Okay, so first let's cut this one. And I'm going to cut it exactly where the pink meets my green. So that's one. And over here, I'm going to cut it where the green meets my, I'll make sure that it's about the same. So actually, I'm going to leave a little bit of brownish here because there's a little, you can see the brown here. So I'm going to cut it on the left side where the line is. Okay. And I'm going to do the same here, and I'm going to cut it where that brownish line is. Okay. So I have 3 lines here. They should be about 3/4 of an inch wide, right? They're about 3/4. Yeah, just about 3/4 of an inch wide. Put this aside. And I need one more. And I'm going to take this one from the other side. So again, I'm going over to that brownish line. And it's fine, you know, it leaves me a little line on the top. And I just want to measure, and I think this is a little bit wider than the rest of them. So you know what, I'm going to take it out. I want it to match the other ones. So let's not do that brownish line. So now I have 4 strips that are 3/4 of an inch wide. Okay, let's turn it over. And over here, I have my vases, and I want to show you where I'm going to cut those. I'm going to take it here so that I can cut over my mat. So over here on this one, I'm going to cut around the first flower. I'm going to cut the first flower out with the leaf here. Second vase, again, I'm going to just cut. Maybe I can actually do a few because it's a short plant here. The third one, I'm going to do. I'm going to do maybe 3 flowers here. And this one, it's just 1 short flower. And here I'm going to cut. I don't even know if I can do the 2. I think the 2 might be a little too much. How long is it? This whole thing. This whole thing is 5 inches. My whole card is 6. It'll be okay. Maybe a little overwhelming. You know what? I don't want to do the whole thing. I just want to do the 1 flower here. Because it's going to be too tall. So again, use your scissors or use your blade. And let's fussy cut around. one. How pretty. And we can cut the middle here. There we go. Yeah, so that's one. Okay. So we have these. Okay. Now I'm going to cut these flowers out. These flowers and these. So we're going to have 3 more. I'm going to use my scissors now. I just want to show you a different way of cutting it. Okay. Okay, so I cut these out now. Let's do this one. Okay, so we have these. Look how pretty. They're really pretty. Let's do the yellow ones. Okay. And now what we want is, we need 6 more vases, right? So I'm going to take my vases and I'm going to take a pencil. And I'm going to draw a line around the bases that I cut already. Line here. Let's see this one. Just the vase itself. I don't need the flowers. Have another one. Do this one now. I'm going here where I have the different patterns. I think it's kind of fun. Okay. Or looking to see where I can have the least amount of wasted paper. Probably do it here. And one more. Okay. Okay, so these are all the pieces that I cut. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to cut it to 3 pieces each of this strip that's 4 inches wide, and then I'm going to ink all of my parts here. So first let's cut these 2 strips of 4 inches. It's 4 and 4. So each one of those strips gives me 3. Here we go. So I have 12. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ink them now. So I'm going to put these aside and I'm going to wipe my glass clean. Just going to put them here. Okay, so I cut a couple of flowers here because I have a couple of vases without any flowers. So I use my die cut. And I cut a few flowers here. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. also want to wipe your hands. Because you have ink here and there. Okay. Now I'm going to take 12 pieces, these that are 2.5, and I'm going to score them. And it's going to get scored 3/8 of an inch on each side. And I'm going to score it 1/2 inch here. I think 1/2 inch should be good. Okay, so the 2.5 inch pieces, I have 3/8 scored here, 3/8 here, and 1/2 inch here. We're going to cut the two edges, the two corners, and we're going to fold them like that. The bone fold, you can press it down like that. And then you have one piece that is 3 by 4. 3 by 4 3/4. So we're going to take one card and we're going to take one square and put it here. Take one square here, and this will go on top here. Okay. And I'm putting it and leaving a frame that is 1/8 of an inch around. And I need to trim this one a little bit more because it goes like a little bit over the edge. So you can go ahead and give it a little shave. And we're going to put it right here at the center. Like that. And here you can put regular glue if you want. Or you can put double-sided tape here as well. I'm just going to put it right there on the bottom. Like that. Okay. We're going to take a strip. And the strip is going to go right here. And then we want to take one of those vases. Okay. And we can put it here. We can put it the center. Right. See, but this is going to be floating about, and we don't really want this to be floating about. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to cut it here. So my previous video got stopped because I lost internet connection. So we're continuing on, and gonna do a voiceover because I had audio issues as well. So it's okay. We're just doing a new audio. And as you can see here, I'm just continuing in making the card. And I cut the image where I had the base, and the flower itself. And I'm separating it where I'm putting the vase over the top of the pocket, and the flower is going on the tag underneath the pocket. So when you remove the tag like that, okay, you only see the top part, and when you put it back in, it looks like the entire complete image. And I thought that was an interesting way to do the image on the card. So the next step in making our cards is cutting the edges on the tags, and you can choose any kind of edge trimmer. I used one of the crocodile's corner trimmers to give it an interesting shape. But if you have something at home that's different, it's fine. Or you can just use your scissors and cut in a diagonal, or you can just leave it as it was before. It really, that's an optional element, but I like doing it because it just adds a little bit more of an interest here. Okay, the next step is I'm taking the sentiments that I included in the printout, and I'm cutting out some sentiments. And you don't have to use these. You can use something that you have at home on your own. You can use a stamp image. There is enough space there for bigger sentiment, smaller sentiment, whatever you want to do. You can also choose to put it on the top part of the card. It doesn't have to be over there. You can be on the tag itself. But I like using sentiments when I'm doing demonstrations of cards, so this way at least you can get an idea of what it looks like with the sentiment. So my sentiments are just printed with black in a regular home printer on 110-pound cardstock, and I cut it in a square around it, and very simple, that's it. Okay, next step up is turning over the tag and adding lines with a very, very fine black marker. And I'm doing it by hand because I like that it's not 100% straight and not 100% even. It adds a little bit of a handmade feel to the card, other than, something printed from the factory. So I like doing that when I do tag cards. And you can choose to leave it blank too. It's not necessary to do it. It's just something that I do. So now I decided to add a little bit of doodling to the card, because when you do something again with your hand drawing, it adds something. So just simple doodles, creating like a spiral circles on the corners of the card, so the two corners of the tag and the four corners on the bottom. And later on, I also added some leaves and dots and whatever you like to doodle. Not too much, but just a little bit. Here I'm adding just simple leaves, with my marker. You can trace the image and you can do different things. I'm only doing it on the white cardstock and just a few. Okay, so now I want to show you how to create those little circles that you'll see on the top part of your tag. So I took the 1 inch by 4 inches strips. Remember, I have 24 strips. So 12 of them, I'm going to cut short to 3 by 1, and I have left a 1 by 1 inch little square. Now I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to draw a little mark, or two little marks actually, one on each side. And the circle is about a half inch diameter. So they have to be there at about a 1/4 inch from each, from the edge. So I made my mark, and now I am punching holes. My punch here, my crocodile doesn't do holes very well. It's already very old. So I'm giving it a little help here with the scissors. But what you get are two holes punched through the 1 by 1 square inch piece of cardstock. Then I'm going to take a circle punch that is a 1/2 inch diameter, and I'm going to center that little circle in the center of my punch and punch it out. Okay, so I have two of them to punch out. Here we go. And now I have two circles with hole at the center. They will go on either side of the white cardstock. Another thing that I'm gonna show you is, okay, here I'm showing you just the size of my punch. You see it's a 1/2 inch. And this happened to be, I think this is, I think it's, we are memory keepers, but I'm not sure. Okay, so you also want to get yourself a little corner punch. And I'm showing you like different punches that I have, and the crocodile have two on each side, and you can do either one. If you don't have one, you can still take your little circle punch and punch the circle out that way. It's also another cute way to do it. And if you don't have any, you could just take your scissors and cut the edge off the tag, and it'll be a straight line, but it still adds a little bit of interest. Okay, so I'm only punching the top two corners, and I'm measuring where my center is, and I want it to be about a 1/2 inch from the edge, and then you just punch the circle out, the little hole, and it's the same size as the hole you have at the middle of your circles. And then you just glue the two parts of your two circles on either side of the hole. And I'm just, I guess, releasing some glue there. Okay, have some glue. That's it. That's one side. Turn it over. And you want to do the other side now. And there we go. And it just looks nicer, cleaner that way. It's a very, very simple way to do that. And now go ahead and do the same thing. After I showed you how to do it, you can go ahead and do it on your tags. And I'm punching the holes, and I'm taking the circles out, and I'm going to add it to either side. Yeah, my holes just don't punch as clean as they should. You can also, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking you can do it at the same color as your back cardstock, or you can just play around with colors and alternate, introduce a new color. Again, this is a personal choice. I think I've done it both ways in this particular collection. I try to do different things. It's kind of fun. So here I did green circles, and the main color cardstock that I have on the card itself is burgundy. So I have a little different. Then now I'm taking the other piece that I have cut. Well, sorry, I have to put the thread first. I'm adding the thread. This is just a burlap thread that I use it a lot. I buy it in bulk. It's my go-to thread. It's nice. It's thin. It doesn't take a lot of space in the project that you're doing, but it adds a little bit of a country slash vintage. It'll go either way to your project. So I like it a lot. So here I'm adding it, and I made a little bow, and you put it inside the tag. Okay, so we're moving on, and the one last thing that I'm adding to the card is the little piece of solid color that is now 1 inch wide by 3 inches long. Remember, it started with being 1 by 4, and I cut out 1 inch out of it. And the other piece that I cut out of it, I used for the circles. And I'm adding it to the top part of the tag, right under where I added the flowers. And here, for example, it's not showing, but in some instances, I do want it to show a little bit, like I was playing with it. You can decide to show the line or not show the line. It's up to you where you want it to be. And here I want to show you just one more example of where you can do something a little different. So instead of adding the pattern paper on the top strip on top of the pocket, I decided to add it to the side, on the left side this time. Okay, so it's 4 inches wide to remind you, and it fits there exactly. This is just another way of doing it. You know, if you want to experiment and do something different, this is also a fun way to do it. Yeah. Okay, so from this point on, I'm really just assembling the cards, and I'm gonna take a whole bunch and just you do them in different stages, the different parts, and I'm just gonna go ahead and run the video and let you enjoy it. It's not exactly in the same order, but you understand the principle and the stages of how I put it together. decide which of the cutouts I want to put where, so that I have them already divided and ready to be glued on. So here to finish off the cards, I'm adding some sketching with my black pen. Each card, I'm doing something different. I'm adding leaves and some doodling. But the edges, the corners stay the same and the leaves are a little bit different. You know? And I really enjoy doing something different from card to card. You know, they still look the same, but a little bit different. Then I'm adding the red. Over here, I'm adding the colored cardstock on the bottom. And you know, sometimes I'm putting it all the way on the bottom. Sometimes I put it a little bit on top. Again, you know, the way that I feel it should go. Like over here, the flower was just too very long, and I didn't want to cut the image out. I wanted to leave it intact. That's why I chose to just put it in on the bottom. Okay, so this part of the video that's coming up is actually a bonus, and I decided to add, as I mentioned earlier, some three-dimensional flowers. And I enjoy doing them. I enjoy doing projects with them, and whenever I have leftover scraps, I usually make flowers with them, and then I do another project that accompanies those flowers. So you'll see how I cut out some butterflies for the embellishment of the cards, and how I choose to punch it out, and how I make the flowers, and then you'll get a bonus project, and also two additional cards that I'm going to be using those florals with. And, just two cards that are different than the rest that you have done so far, that are more three-dimensional. A lot of people don't like uh, three-dimensional cards because they don't fit in the envelopes very well, and you have to pay extra in stamps. But sometimes you don't need a stamp. Sometimes you're just looking to hand out a card to somebody, if you're going to put it inside a present that you're giving. So it's a nice little bonus that I decided to add here. So in the upcoming video, you'll see how I make the flowers start to finish, and those two additional projects. Okay, so here I'm just inserting the part of my tutorial where I show you how I did all of my cutting with punches and with the dies. So I took the leftover pattern paper after I used it to cut all of the florals and the vases out. I have a small butterfly punch, and I punched out the butterflies from the bottom part of that pattern paper. Later on in the video, you will see that I also used some remnants from other papers that I had, and here and there I cut out some more butterflies. And I find it really fun to add a little bit more color or something else. It doesn't have to be exactly the same pattern paper, because it's just used as an embellishment, and to add a little bit of something different, it's completely fine. All right, so now I finished punching about 12 butterflies. I think it came out to something like that. And I'm cleaning up the remnants and making sure that it'll fit into my die cut machine. It has to be no more than 6 inches, I think, 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to have another cut there right at the center. And then I'm going to run my flower dies in my die cut machine. Okay, so I'm going to use my manual machine for that, because I have better control over the placement of the dies. I'm trying to maximize the use of my pattern paper so that it'll match with the colors that I have on the card so far. So I aim to have a minimum of 12 cuts in various sizes. So this is the first run, and I think I managed to get 8 or 9 in the first run here. Just taking them out of the dies and putting them on the side. And also all the petals are different because I have a variety of different flowers. It doesn't matter to me, they're all gonna look about the same at the end. Here I'm making the second run, and I'm putting it through my cutting through my scissor machine, my Big Shot here, and I'm adding another layer on top of my sandwich with heavy cardstock. And each machine is different and the dies are different, but sometimes I find that if you add another little paper on top of it or even on the bottom, it just cuts better. So you will have to experiment with your machine to see how much pressure you need to apply to that sandwich that you're making. All right, so this is the third run. I'm doing it now with solid colors, and I put the 3 sheets that I had cut with the various colors. So I have 3 colors. I have the magenta, the brown, and the green. On the magenta and the brown, I'm putting floral pattern dies, and on the green, I'm putting leaves. And I'm using different kinds, different shapes. Whatever I have handy, that's what I'm using. And these are my go-to. You'll see them. I use a lot of that in my cards. So I'm running it through. And this is the nasty process of taking them out. And let me see if I can just speed it up for you a little bit here. Okay, so here I think this is the 4th run that I'm doing. I'm going to add a few more here, as many as I can squeeze in. And I'm adding some leaves on the brown part now because I have enough of the floral, but I decided that I can use a few more of the leaves, so I'm doing some brown leaves as well. Okay, and let's clean it all up. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I make the flowers. And as you can see, I arranged it so that each flower have 3 different colors. It has the pattern paper and the solid cardstock. First thing I do is I ink the flowers, and I ink on the outer side of them, and sometimes, you know, if I feel that it needs a little more, you can also add some staining or inking at the center of the flower. That might not show completely, but sometimes you'll see a little bit of a darker center when you assemble the flowers. Then you take your embossing tool, and the embossing tool has balls at the end of it, and I use 2-3 different ones, different sizes, and decide which one to use for the petals and how much curl I want to get. So I'm using this gray surface, which is a sponge. It allows my embossing tool to push the fiber, the paper, against the sponge, and it helps to curl it. So I use, once I go over one side, the back side, to curl the petals to one side, and then I turn the flower over and I go over the center of it, and then it curls it up. Okay? So you can really manipulate the paper that way in order for it to become 3-dimensional. And because it's heavy cardstock, it'll stay that way. You know, because what you're doing is you're breaking the fiber and you're telling it, hey, I want you to go up, I want it to go down, I want it to go sideways. It will stay that way. So now that I have them, 3 petals, I'm assembling them with just putting a little bit of glue in the center. I'm using art glitter glue because it dries clear and strong, and it'll hold it there forever. So it's very, very good glue. And then I'm also using the art glitter glue to add some glitter to the center. So at the center of your flowers, you can choose to put beads. You can use stemmers there. Um, you can do clay, make it dry. You can paint. You can do a lot of different things. I chose to add some brown glitter. Okay, I like doing glitter as the center of my flowers. I'm a blingy crafter. I like bling. I like rhinestones and shiny gold and shiny things. Okay, so what I do is I add a little ball of glue there, right there at the center with my art glitter glue. And I like the art glitter glue because it will, once it dries, it will not show any white. It'll dry clear and the glue will hold there and not go anywhere, all over the place. So I really enjoy that product. I don't change it. I already said it maybe in the beginning of the video. I don't remember, but I say it all the time. That's my go-to. Okay, so of course do it over a surface so that the glitter is not going all over the place. I have a thin sheet of white paper under it and I'm sprinkling the glitter. Usually I have this little tiny spoon that I use. I just couldn't find it, so I used the tip of my blade. Um, yeah, just find a little tool. Just don't sprinkle it directly from the jar because then you really cannot control how much glitter comes out. But having a little bit of there at the center, and then you can just remove the excess straight onto the jar, into the jar, over the sheet of paper, and this way you control the chaos that glitter can cause. And just make sure you set it aside for a good amount of time to allow it to dry thoroughly. And art glitter glue dries rather fast, so within, I would say, 15 minutes it should be completely dry. You repeat the process doing the same thing with the larger leaves. If you have large leaves that allow to curl, just do the same. The ones that are tiny and small and delicate, just leave alone. Don't ink them. Don't try to emboss them with your embossing tool and curl it. But the larger one, you absolutely can. So here I'm showing you how I'm doing it with one of them. And you can see how I'm folding it a little bit and breaking the fibers of the paper a little bit, and it will create a three-dimensional leaf right there. There we go. Look how pretty it will look on the project. Just add a few leaves there and it looks really pretty. I'm just playing around with the composition, just wanted to show you what it will look like. Look how pretty. Okay, so next step is on the little surface there, I just rearranged all of my pieces so that I see what I have, and I like to do that so that I know that I have all the pieces that I need before I move forward. So I rearranged, as you can see, 12 flowers there, and all of each flower will have three different colors and three different sizes. And I'm putting the different type of leaves, like the ones that are bigger on the left, the medium thickness one or width are in the center, and then the more delicate ones are on the right. And I will try to just do this so that it will all be nice and even throughout the projects. Okay, so I finished doing all of the flowers. I assembled all the flowers. I have a little piece of paper here. And I managed to get 12 flowers and a bunch of leaves with my dies. And then I stamped it. Um, then I inked it with my stamping ink and put some glitter at the center. Okay, so these are my bonus flower, and we can make some bonus projects with it, and I want to show you that. But before we go ahead and assemble the bonus project, there's one more little tip that I can give you to add a little bit more color to this project. If you have some scrap paper laying around, or even if you don't, you can just take regular paper and color it in complementing colors. And we want just a little bit of something with different colors. So I have this green as complementing color. It's the same shade of green, just a little lighter. And you know what I do usually when I finish projects, I cut them into strips of paper, usually the same size, and I put them together in these boxes. So I just dig into my box, and it makes it very easy for me to find things that I want. Like this one is okay. And if we want something with a little more color, we really don't have a whole lot of colorful ones here. But let's see if I can find one that's a little more colorful. Like here's one that's a little more colorful. I have two actually. I'm just trying to find. Ooh, look at that. I have like this shade of green and ooh, this nice little thing. Oh, even one with blue and yellow. No, this might be a little too bright, but I have this one, maybe a little off-white. So yeah, so just grab, a bunch of what, if you have some scraps, and I always have basic punches. So this is the same punch that I used for the cards. Just go ahead and punch out some butterflies. You can have them in different sizes. Oh, so cute. I like this one. This is an old one. This one is from Martha Stewart. It's a Martha Stewart punches that I picked up somewhere. Probably at one of those big stores. Oh, look at this. This is a graphic 45, old graphic 45 Christmas paper. Look how pretty this is. So this is actually double-sided. Maybe I can try to pick up some here. Okay, and so, oh, this one has a little silver foil in it. That could be pretty. Let's see if we can pick up the foil here. And so it's something that I tend to do a lot. I don't go ahead and punch a bunch, but oh, look at this here. We have this side. I like that. And so I have a whole bunch of butterflies now. And you might want to take these and ink the edges of these as well. Just very, very lightly. And it's usually better to have a double side paper when you do those little ones, so that when you do the butterfly and you sort of fold the wings, that on the other side you're not going to see white. But if you do happen to have one that's white, you can just take your ink blending tool and blend some on the other side. And this way it just looks better when it's not white. Okay. So yeah, we're just going to make a whole bunch and ink them. And there are some really tiny ones. The tiny ones I'm not going to ink, but I happen to have some teeny, teeny ones also. Okay. All right, so we can just take this in and put it into, I have little bins on my desk that I just put little tiny things so that I'm not going to lose them and they're not going to go all over the place. You can use the cover, and this way it keeps it contained. Okay, so I have those, and let's go ahead and make the bonus. So what I want to do is, you make little wall art, like, it's also a very nice gift for someone. If, you can give it with a card, makes it really fun. But, I don't usually give large pieces of art to people as a gift because people, like to decorate their own homes the way they like it. But something little, it's fun because you can stick it, somewhere in the house that doesn't draw much attention to it, but it's still a nice thing to have. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to do a little wall art that is like a home blessing. Let's say somebody has a new home, or if you're going into somebody's house for the first time, it's a nice thing to do. So it's being made like a card, but later you can actually mat it over a board and add a hanger to it. I'm just going to do right now just the card side, and then you can go ahead and attach the hanger to it. So I cut the piece of paper because we did the cards 6.25 by 6.25 by 4.25, so I'm using the same size. Now I'm going to take a piece of solid color. Okay. And I want the solid color to be actually much smaller. So let's do this one at 3.5 inches by 4.5, I think. And let's see. This will go somewhere here. That maybe. And I printed out this blessing for the home that I want to add to it, but it's a little too much. I don't want it to be too much, actually. I just need a little bit. I'm going to cut it maybe a little smaller because I just want it a smidgen over. So it depends on your sentiment. This is how big your paper would be. So print it over hard cardstock, and this way you can just cut the size you need. Okay, this is good enough. I think this will be nice right over this here. Okay. And I'm also going to cut the corners here. So for corner cutting, you can use one of these tools by, it's a crocodile by We Are Memory Keepers that they have corner trimmers. If you don't have that, you can actually take like a round punch and use that one to cut your corners. Or there are a few brands that have corners cutting, or you can just take your scissors and cut diagonal out. But I think that doing something interesting and fun to the corners just adds a little bit of fun here. Just makes it look a little bit nicer. So I'm not putting it on yet. I'm going to go ahead and create my composition. So I have flowers. I'm going to put maybe 2 or 3. And play around with it. You don't really want it over the writing, obviously. But if you cut big ones, you can go ahead and trim bits and pieces out of it. Like that. For example, yeah. And then let's take a brown one that can be here, and that's it. This is a fun little thing. And what I want to do right now is, if this is my composition, I'm going to think about making maybe this raised a little bit, and it'll add another dimension to it too. So to do that, I want to take, again, I'm going to my remnants and see where I have one that I don't really use. I always keep those aside. Here's this one that I haven't really used. So I'm going to cut this. And I want to create a little bit of height, not too much. So I'm just going to go and fold it. And when you're creating folds, you're creating height. Okay, this will be okay. Okay, that looks good. And we don't want it all the way to the edges, and obviously we don't want it coming out. But look, it gives a nice little height there. Okay, so I'm going to push my composition items to the side so that I remember where they are. And this one I'm just going to put down with glue. And I'll put this at the center. I'm not pushing it really far down, just a little bit. Okay. Wow, look what nice height I got here. And just going to go and glue my flowers. That's one. This is two. Trying to contain it within my cardstock here. Okay. And this one here looks good. Maybe this here. My composition turned out to be a little different than the original one, but it's okay. It's nice. That's all. That's all we need. Look how pretty. This will make a really, really cute little present for somebody. Look how pretty. Okay. I might want to do something here. I feel like this area here is a little bare. So let's go for the flowers that we made. Cute here. I can do one here. So I created a cluster here and one here to balance it out. Just play with it, see where you like to have it. You can put it over the flower, it won't be too much. Over here, maybe over here. Very nice. Okay, that's all that I'm gonna do here. It looks really pretty. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this bonus project. And this is a house blessing, and it will make a really nice gift for somebody. All you need to do is mat it over a mat board and frame it. So just get yourself a mat board that is a little bit bigger size than this, and with a double side tape, just put it on the mat board and then fit a nice frame to it. And I think it makes a very nice little gift. Okay, so here, since we had some extra flowers, I'm going to use some flowers to make two more cards. And in this one, I'm putting one flower on the top and two flowers on top of the pocket. I'm doing a composition with a flower, with the leaves, and adding butterflies. Just remember that this particular card is going to be rather thick. It is three-dimensional and will be a little bit more difficult to fit into an envelope, and then you might need to pay extra for postage. However, not every card you need to post if you sometimes want to hand it to somebody. So that will be nice to give to somebody when you're going somewhere and giving it as a gift. So this is the bonus cards. Yeah. And I make a lot of them. I like them. The second one, I'm putting the two flowers on top of the tag, and then one flower I put on the pocket. So just trying to do different things here. I'll show you the different options. Look how lovely it is. And that's it for my project. I'm pretty much finished. I hope you enjoyed it.